Hello and welcome. My name is Paula McGurdy and thank you for joining me today. If you're here, I'm assuming that you like art, you're an artist, or you are creative in some way, shape or form. So thank you for joining me and welcome. Today I thought I'd run through a little bit about sketchbooks, how I use them and why I use them. But first, I am in the need of maybe a little bit of a mind shift, a mindset mind shift today. So I thought I'd do a little wonder card pull first. Because sometimes I do that and I put it by the side of my desk and then I just keep that with me. I'm full of confidence in who I am and created to be. Yes, that's definitely one for today. Right, so today, sketchbooks. Why do I use them? I use them really predominantly to see through an idea. Lately, when I've been doing commissions, I've been doing them alongside commissions, really for me to keep a record of what I've been doing. So obviously that piece then goes off to somebody else and I no longer have it, but it's a record of me being able to remember what was in it and what the story was, all of that kind of stuff, where the inspiration came from. So that's what I've been doing. So this one is to do with the commission that I've been doing, and also I've lately been giving out a smaller sketchbook to people who receive the commission, which is something that maybe is something that I would love. I would love that. I think it's another just act of loveliness that I just hope that somebody receives that and sees some of the processes of where the ideas came from. Obviously people will receive my work and may not know anything about my work, so it kind of gives them a bit more of an insight into how I work and what is behind that. And then the other sketchbook that I would use is if I'm stuck in a rut in any way. And recently I used this sketchbook and I did it on Instagram Live, and the idea was every day I would put something new in the sketchbook, and it was really to get me out of a rut. And the reason I did this one, so this is an old concertina sketchbook that I had for a long time sitting on my shelf, and it was like almost too precious to use. It's a really lovely book. It wasn't expensive, but I don't know why in my head it was precious. And maybe you're the same, but I certainly sometimes look at things and I think they're too precious to use, or I'll use it for another day, or the right time will come. And then I just thought, no, I need to use it now. So I started this every day, doing a little piece every day. And on a live, and I set myself 15 minutes, and I used a medium that I wouldn't normally use. So I used chalk pastels. I've used them in the past, but it wouldn't be something that I would use in my day-to-day work. And it just really helped me move from maybe what I would normally do, and it's just a way to stretch yourself as well and to help you bring that imagination back. And really what I was saying about sketchbooks is the main idea about them is really just to have fun and a bit of play, and there's no right or wrong with them. Nobody has to see them. They can just be for your own benefit, and they really are just a visual diary of what you want. A lot of times in sketchbooks I will use writing, so I'll use text, typography, all that kind of stuff, but this one what I really wanted to do was focus very much on a certain colour palette, and you can see them changing as I go along. I did start using acrylics in this. I cheated a little bit, but that's really, I didn't have, I wanted to start using a blue and a green within the work with the chalk pastels, and I didn't, oh no, I wanted to start using green, I beg your pardon. I had blues, as you can see at the beginning there, but I didn't have a green, so I started using acrylic paint just to make the green, and you can see how it's changed quite dramatically, and they kind of turned into landscapes. It wasn't my intention, but I went in to this sketchbook really just not pinning myself down to what it was going to be or what I was going to achieve, other than filling some pages and seeing what came out of it and having fun. They were my main things, just being curious with the process. Some of them got smaller, as you can see, and you can see I use my hands quite a lot, so I use the chalk pastels up on the top here, and then I use my hands down here quite a bit, and I love that because you end up with different kind of marks, and it was just like they're getting smaller, and I love that actually. So it was really lovely to work with this, and I think also when you do something like that, like that's the final page there, when you do something like that, you just don't know where that's going to lead in terms of your own day-to-day practice. What will come out of this for my own work, like who knows, but you can definitely see how that was very tight when I began, and then it just really loosened up quite a lot, and it changed quite a bit, and that was just 15 minutes every day. And the whole idea also was really just to show people what you can do in 15 minutes. That I think we have this idea that it has to be, you know, we have to carve out huge amount of time for creativity, and often all you need is like 10-15 minutes. I mean, it's lovely to have a whole day or whatever, you know, or half a day or a morning, but I just think we tell ourselves that we don't have time to do it, and often it just takes 15 minutes of just sitting down with something. Get yourself a cheap sketchbook and go for it. So that's the one that I was working on recently in terms of just for me getting out of a rut, and I loved this. I will go back to this again and again. This is one that I'm doing, I did for a commission. Now I'm not too sure if you know my work, but my work is very much based on maps. So I call them contemporary landscapes in some ways, but they are in terms maps. So it's mapping out a story of a time, a place, a memory, words spoken, and my work is quite unique in that way. And so when I'm doing a commission for somebody, as I said, they might not necessarily know my work, so I think it's nice for them to have a copy of some of the ideas and thoughts and processes. So for instance, this is not the commission, because I tend to keep those private until the person has received it, but I just thought I'd show you this for reference. But the idea then is that, say for instance, I'll put their name on the front and the date, and then I'll go with the kind of colour palette that I've worked with for them, and which has been agreed with the person who is buying the commission for the person, or commissioning the commission, is that the word? And then I put in the different reference points in terms of what has ended up on the page, or what some of the ideas and concepts were around that. And I think it's just a lovely way. I love that page. I feel like there's freedom as well in sketchbooks as well, and it's just a nice way for somebody to see the journey, because these artworks really are about journeys. So it's just a nice way for them to reference that and see the journey. So the small sketchbook goes to the recipient of the commission, but the larger sketchbook, I'll just move this out of the way, the larger sketchbook really is, as I said, for a reference point for me when I begin the commission. And I've only started doing these recently because I realised that I've done commissions for people, and once an artwork is gone, then it's gone and I don't see it again. I mean, I have photographs, but I love the idea of having some kind of story of where that came from. So I start with the colour palette and washes of paint, and you'll see how this changes and morphs, and yeah, as I said, there's a lot of freedom in sketchbooks as well, and I think that's the beauty of them, because you come at them and you're not really precious, unless it's a sketchbook that you've been holding on to for many years and you're very precious about it. So precious you don't know, you don't want to use it. But for the most part, this is just like a cheap sketchbook, and there's nothing to it, like in terms of feeling precious about it. And I think that there's you can kind of, you know, there's a lot of freedom in that. It's an abandonment of going, you know, just letting your work kind of just come out on paper. There's no right or wrong. You're just expressing yourself and seeing where the shapes and the forms go, and I love that. So yeah, doing colour washes, pen work, shapes and forms, bringing in elements of who the commission was for and what it was for, and trialing out different things. And that's really it. It's a trial. Like, I love this. So I use a lot of collage in my work as well. So it's mixed media. I wouldn't normally go off the page, but I love that. I just, there's something very freeing in that for me. Yeah, so it makes you do things that you wouldn't necessarily do if you have an expensive piece of paper in front of you and you think, uh-oh, or a canvas that I have to start, and am I going to ruin it? Because sometimes that can get in the way of creativity. So that's why sketchbooks are brilliant. And I just love, like, that's the centerpiece. I love that I was using slightly thicker paints, that the collage papers that I was using weren't as, you know, as intricate as some of the ones that I would normally use, like these, like neat, you know. So there's a real freedom in that. The marks, I love the black marks on that. This one, I love this one, and that's actually a bit of masking tape and a bit of paint, and I don't really mind where the paint is running to, because, as I said again, this is really about curiosity and play. I really like the colours there. So this is just a run through of what I do in order to bring about ideas and where they go, and like this, just lovely. I love the marks that I've made. Sometimes I've used my non-dominant hand, which will be my right hand. And again, the colour palettes as well. Yeah, so that's that one. But the idea is for sketchbooks is, like, really, as I said, I have, I go through phases of sketchbooks that I sometimes use a lot of sketchbooks in sequence. But this one was really lovely. This one was a really lovely challenge for me to do, and to see a concept and an idea form and really come through in a way that I don't normally work, and that was really lovely. And I think that's when sketchbooks can work really well. They can work wonders. So if you're just starting off, my recommendation would be just to get yourself a cheap sketchbook. This is just like graduate sketchbook. I'm not precious about the paper or what it is. They're only a few euros, and it's really just for you, and you can do whatever you want. You can stick in things, you can write things, you can use it as a diary and then add doodles in as you go along. If there's no rules, there's no, the only person who needs to look at this is you. But they can be a great source of bringing ideas to like another place if you're beginning and you don't know where to begin. Like collage is an amazing thing as well, and drawing as well. So they can be a wonderful place to start in order for you to get those creative, the mind flow of all of that kind of really going there, get those creative juices flowing and going. So I'm going to do another series actually, and just like I did this sketchbook over a series of a few weeks, I'm actually going to do a series on my YouTube channel, and it's going to be with a sketchbook, so this size. And really what I'm going to do is going to do a double page. So I'm going to start something new, and it'll be something that I'm feeling like I want to push myself a little bit more and use maybe different mediums and different paints that I don't normally use, just really to push myself, because there's always so much growth in this. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and that's a lifelong thing, and I think that's one of the beauties of working with the sketchbook. So the next video that'll be on my channel will be one where I'm starting, so it's going to be the beginning page, which is always, I kind of have to tell myself that I'm not going to be afraid of the first page, and not going to get all like, you know, tight about it and stuff like that. But the first page is going to set the scene really for what's to come. So join me on the next video, and you can see what I end up creating. And please, by all means, get your own sketchbooks as well. And I'd love if you worked alongside me as well. That would be amazing, to do your own thing. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing, but to do your own thing. That will be amazing. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I would love to know, do you work in sketchbooks yourself? And if so, what kind of things do you create and how do you find them? Do you find them good and useful? Do you feel like that they help with your creativity? I would love to know more, so let me know. And as always, subscribe and like, and obviously the more people who do that, the further reach it can be, and then it means that the further I can be able to show the things that I learn along the way. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.